Hello friends, I am Lakshmikant. Hope you all are fine, my dear. Here in this very video, I am going to tell you about the plant growth and development, my dear. Okay, so now check this one thing that what this chapter give us, my dear. Just see here. First of all, I would like to share you here that the growth of plant, and you all know that the growth of the plant is the basic features of each and every living organisms, my dear. But if I'm saying here that the basic features of the living organisms, the growth is be here. But you know, the growth is of two types. One is the extrinsic growth, second one is intrinsic growth. I am repeating again. Whenever anybody can ask you about the types of growth, then what you say? There are two types of growth. One is what? Extrinsic growth. Extrinsic growth, it means that the growth which take place outside from their body, then is known as what? Extrinsic growth. But whenever I'm saying that the growth which is occurs within the body, or you say the inside the body, then it is known as what? Intrinsic growth, my dear. Okay, so now here check that how the plant growth, my dear, and you all know that the growth of plant is basically responsible for there is what? Hormone. Yes, only the hormone is responsible for the basically development in the plants, or you say the growth in the plants. But the now the question is here, how this growth occurs in plants, my dear. What the process of the growth of the plant, my dear, and how we just see here that increase in the growth per unit time, growth rate, seed germination, phases of plant growth, yes or no, vernalization, photoperiodism. There are so many things we have to be discussed here in this very chapter. So let me start from one by one. That first thing, that the thing is that is very important to know here, that the growth in plants, that what the growth is here. Okay, so what the growth is here basically in a plants, let's see. First one thing that is very important to know here, that let's see here first what I'm saying to you here. Here I'm just going to tell you about the growth in plants. Number one, that is what? Suppose I'm just going to make another slides here. Let's see. Let's see here what I'm going to tell you. Here the first, the growth. I'm writing the term, the growth, my dear. Okay. What I'm going to write here, growth. So growth is what? Growth is what? It is a what? Features. What I'm saying, it is the features of, it is the features of what? Living organisms, my dear. What I'm saying, it is the features of what? Living organisms. So if anybody can ask you that what is growth, then what you say? This one is the feature of living organisms. Yes, this one is correct. But now the thing is here. So if anybody can ask you how many types of the growth, my dear, then what you say? There are two types of growth. One is what? Extrinsic growth. See what I'm saying here. One here I'm saying what? Extrinsic growth, and second one I'm saying here what? Intrinsic growth. Getting my point? One is what? Extrinsic growth, second one is what? Intrinsic growth. So when we say extrinsic growth and when we say intrinsic growth, let's see here first, because this is important to know, dear. Because if anybody can ask you about the types of the growth here, then what you say? You say here that whatever the living organisms, they have both extrinsic growth as well as the intrinsic growth, my dear. Correct? So let's see. If I'm saying that the growth from outside, what I'm saying here, growth from where? Growth from outside. So what the meaning of outside? If the any parts of the living organisms grow from externally, then it is known as what? Extrinsic growth. But whenever the growth occurs, what I'm saying, growth occur from where? From inside, my dear. What I'm saying, from inside. So growth from outside, extrinsic growth, and growth from inside, then it is known as what? Intrinsic growth. So basically there are two types of the growth, extrinsic and intrinsic. This one is clear. The term growth is clear. Now the thing is here that is very important to understand here, that if I am saying here which one is the basic thing that is responsible for the growth in plants, then what you say? You say here that the basic thing for the growth in a plant is what? Hormone. And that very hormone which is present in the plant is known as what, my dear? Phytohormone. Why I'm saying phytohormone? Why I'm saying here phytohormone, not hormone? Because the hormone which is present in plant is known as what? Phytohormone. So phyto means what? Plant. Hormone is what? Just a chemical messengers which act on a part of a cell. So now see here the phytohormone. It means what? The hormone which is present in a plants is known as what? Phytohormone, right? Now the question is here. How many types of the phytohormone, my dear? If you know, then tell me. Answer in comment. Here in phytohormones, my dear, they are basically. Let's see first. One is auxin. What I'm saying here, auxin is the hormone. Second one is what? Second one is cytokinin. What I'm saying? Cytokinin. I'm saying here. Third one is what? Gibberellin. What I'm saying here? Gibberellin. Fourth one is what? Auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin. Fourth one is what? Fourth one is ABA. In short, we say ABA. But the full form of ABA, you know, abscisic acid. Abscisic acid, my dear. This one is what? Hormone. And fifth one is what? Ethylene. What I'm saying? Ethylene, my dear. Okay. So let's see the phytohormone. The hormone which is present in a plant is known as phytohormone. Yes. Here I'm going to write the definition also here. The hormone which is present in plant. What I'm writing here? The hormone which is present in plant, my dear. Which is what I'm saying? Which is present in where? In plant. Getting my point? So if I'm saying here that the hormone which is present in plants, my dear, then it is known as what? Phytohormone. So basically there are 5 phytohormones. Number one is what? Auxin. Second one is cytokinin. Third one is what? Gibberellin. Fourth one is what? Abscisic acid. And fifth one is what? Ethylene, my dear. So these all very hormones are responsible for performing different functions, my dear. Basically in the growth, whenever I'm saying about the terms growth in a plants, the hormone, that is what? Auxin, which is responsible for the growth, right? Now see here. So if anybody can ask you about how the plants take growth in a parts, then you say there is hormone. Basically the auxin hormone is responsible for the growth in the apical region of the stem as well as the apical region of the roots, my dear. Getting my point? No, let's see. With the help of diagram, I'm going to tell you here. Wait for a moment. Just make a diagram. Let's see. This one is what? A stem. This one is the apical region of the stem, and this one is what? Apical region of the roots, my dear. Okay. So see, this one is the root, apical region. So here the apical region, that is what? This one is what? Apical region of the stem, and this one is the apical region of the roots, my dear. Yes or no? So see here, if I'm saying here the apical region of the stem, that is apical meristem, here both the hormone, that is what? Which one? Hormone auxin is also here present, and here also auxin, and here also what? Auxin. So both auxin is present at the apical region of the stem as well as the roots also. Getting my point? Yes, sir. Now the auxin is responsible for the growth in the plants. This one is clear. Okay. So now see here. If I'm saying here that the growth rate, you know how the growth rate will be here? The growth rate here will be increase per unit time. What I'm saying? So increase in growth in what? Per unit time, and this one per unit time will check you here by the means of what? First arithmetic mean, second one is what? Geometric mean. Getting my point? One is what? Arithmetic mean, and second one is what? Geometric mean. So the true way that the growth in a plant can take place, my dear, right? Now the thing is here that, sir, if I'm saying here that the increase in growth per unit time, so there is the what differences here, the arithmetic as well as geometric. So what the arithmetic growth and what the geometric growth? Wait for a moment. I will show you with NCERT also that how the arithmetic and the geometric growth will take place in plants, right? Before we have to be know that the things here must be have to be considered here that what the condition of growth, my dear. Getting my point? So what I'm saying here, I'm going to tell you here that the what condition, what I'm saying, condition for growth. Next thing is here is what? Condition The hormone which is responsible for the growth is clear. Auxin hormone. Yes, sir, definitely. So what the condition for growth? Condition for growth, my dear. You know that the condition for the growth here is what? You know, number one, that is water. What is condition? Yes, definitely. Second one is what? Minerals. Or you say the ions also. Minerals, ions. Clear? Third one is what? Third one is sunlight also. Sunlight is also responsible for the growth in the plants. Let's see here what the thing is written here. Here they written water, oxygen, nutrients, optimum temperature, light, gravity. Yes or no? Yes or no? Sunlight, light. Fourth one is what? Gravity also, my dear. Gravity also. So optimum temperature also, not more or less, optimum. That is what? Optimum temperature also. So these all are the condition for the growth in a plants, my dear. Okay, so let's see here what the things is basic requirement. So now next one thing that is very important to know here, that what? The differentiation. You know the meaning of differentiation, my dear? You know the differentiation here? The meaning of differentiation means that process in which the cell produced by apical meristem. So if I'm saying here that if the cells produced by apical meristem, yes, I'm saying what? Apical meristem. See, this one the diagram here, the apical meristem. This one is what? Apical meristem, my dear. Apical meristem. Getting my point? So if I'm saying here that in apical meristem, my dear, in apical meristem here, the process in which the cell produced by apical meristem become a specialized to perform a specific function. And we all know that whenever the cell differentiated, they need to perform a definite function or the specific function, my dear. Okay, wait for a moment. See here that what I'm saying. I'm saying here that the differentiation term is clear. Now second thing that is very important to know here, de-differentiation. So what the meaning of de-differentiation? De-differentiation means that the process in which the living differentiated cells that by now have lost the capacity to divide. So suppose if the cell is matured, and if the cell once being matured, it lost their capacity to divide, my dear. So under a certain condition, that very condition is known as what? De-differentiation. What I'm saying? De-differentiation. Now here the next term is here is what? Redifferentiation. So what do you mean by redifferentiation? Here the redifferentiation is nothing. It is a process in which the de-differentiated cells become mature again. Again the de-differentiated cells, that is what? Are matured again and lose their capacity to divide, my dear. So that's why it is called redifferentiation. Let's see again. I'm repeating here. The three terms I'm repeating here in the plant growth and development. One is what? Differentiation. Second one is what? De-differentiation. Third one is what? Redifferentiation. So what the differences between all these three? First, that is differentiation. Differentiation, it means that whenever the cells produced by apical meristems become specialized to perform a specific function, then it is known as what? Differentiation. Getting my point? Getting my point? I'm repeating here. Just listen carefully. So when we say the differentiation in a cell, or basically in a plants, my dear. So in a plants, in which the cell produced by apical meristem. What I'm saying? Cell produced by what? Apical meristem. So see, this one is what? Apical meristem. Yes or no? This one is what? Apical meristem. This one is the position of what? Apical meristem. And this apical meristem, my dear, become specialized to perform what? A specific function. So if I'm saying here that whenever the apical meristem, the function is here to be mainly in the growth in the plants, then it is called differentiation, na? Correct. One thing is clear. Now the second thing is here, that is what? De-differentiation. It means that here the process in which the living differentiated cells. I'm repeating, listen carefully that what I'm saying to you. If I'm saying here that when the plants having the differentiated cells that by now have lost the capacity, if I'm saying here that the loss of capacity to divide, then what we say here? It means that they have regained their capacity to divide. It means once they have the capacity to lose there, but regain they have the what? Capacity to divide under some certain condition, my dear, then it is known as de-differentiation. But if I'm saying here that redifferentiation, it means what? The process in which differentiated cells, it means that the cells is already differentiated, become a mature again, become a what? Mature again, and lose their capacity to divide, my dear, then it is known as what? Redifferentiation. So this one is very, very important term, my dear, the point of examination NEET 2024, that the things, that is which one cell have a differentiation, which one is de-differentiation, which one is redifferentiation. So this one is the very important terms, my dear, so you have to be must keep in mind. Getting my point? Yes. Now next, the term is here, that is sequence of developmental process. This one I show you in the NCERT. So how about the sequence of development processes in the plants, my dear? I will show this one thing. But this one is the 7. See here, the phytohormones. See in this one. See in this one slide. I'm just telling you here about the term phytohormone. Phyto means plant. Hormone means what? Chemical messenger. Yes, the hormone which is present in plant, my dear, they're basically the 5 hormone: auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin, abscisic acid, and ethylene. So these all are the phytohormone, my dear. See here, here the what? Plant growth regulator. What I'm saying? Plant growth regulator. So if I'm saying here that the plant growth regulator, that is phytohormones. See how much here? Auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, ethylene, and abscisic acid. Hope so this thing is written. Yes or no? Very good. Now, next term we should have to be know here the term, that is what? Vernalization. You know the meaning vernalization, my dear? Listen carefully. If I'm saying here the term vernalization, it means what? Promotion of flowering by a period of low temperature. So suppose if I'm providing the very low temperature, and that very temperature, the what? Flower promotion to what? Become a flowering. The plants promoted to be a flowering. And if I'm saying here that whenever the plant promoted of the flowering by a period of the low temperature, my dear, then it is known as what? Vernalization. And it also know that in during vernalization, they doesn't required too much amount of the temperature, my dear, even though low temperature is also capable for the promotion of flowering, my dear, basically in angiosperm. Now, ninth number. So what this one thing? Quantitative comparison between growth is done by. So here the two thing. Here the two thing, my dear. One is the word relative growth. Second one is absolute growth. So whenever I'm saying here about the quantitative comparison, what the meaning of quantitative comparison? Quantitative comparison means that the comparison between the growth in factors. So what the growth in the factors, my dear? Let's see here. One is the what? Absolute growth rate. Second one is what? Relative growth rate. So what do we mean by absolute growth rate? Here, the absolute growth rate means that measurement and comparison of total growth per unit time. Suppose if I'm saying here that the growth of the plant in total in a some unit time, then it is known as what? Absolute growth. But if I'm saying the growth of a particular system per unit time expressed on the common basis, then it is known as what? Relative growth rate, my dear. Okay. Now, next term that we should have to be know here, that photoperiodism. You know the meaning of photoperiodism? Photoperiodism, photo means light, periodism was duration. It means that how much the amount of light required for the yes, for the giving of what? Flowers, my dear. So here the long day plant, short day plant, and day neutral plant. So here the photoperiodism classified into how many parts? 3. One is long day plant, second one is what? Short day plant, and third one is what, my dear? Day neutral plant. If I'm saying here that long day plant, it means they required continuous temperature. Example, radish, barley. These are our long day plant. When I'm saying here the short day plant, it means that they need temperature but very a short period of time, or very limited amount of time period that is required for the photosynthesis, that is called short duration plant. But when I'm saying the day neutral plant, it means that they neither too less amount of heat light, or you say the light, or you say the temperature, neither they have the long day. It means that in long day plant neither they require too much amount of light. Getting my point? So the example is what? Tomato. So tomato is which one? Day neutral plant. Getting? And the chrysanthemum is what? Short day plant. Okay, so example is very important to know here, because once the example is given and the other cases there is some photoperiodism is given, and you have to be matched. How you match? Whenever you know this one thing, then you match. Now, next thing that is very important to know here, that is what? Seed germination. You all know that the seed germination. Here I'm going to show with the help of diagram, my dear. Let's see. Suppose I am making here a seeds of what? Dicot. Here I am making a diagram of what? Dicot, my dear. Here see, the seed has double layered membrane. What I'm saying to you, seed has double layered membrane. Okay, very good. So if I'm saying here that seed has double layered membrane, my dear, then here the seeds has the seeds has the seeds has two different layers. Okay, okay, see here the outer region is called testa. This is called testa. Inner one, this one is called what? Tegmen. This one is what? Tegmen. Outer is what? Testa. Outer is what? Testa. Inner is what? Tegmen, my dear. Okay, and here and here, this one is what? This one is cotyledon, my dear. This one is what? Cotyledon. Getting my point? Yes. So see, this one is the what? The reason that is above. See, that is, this one is what? Plumule. This one is the plumule region. And this one is what, my dear? Radical. This one is what? Radical. Getting my point? So see, what I'm saying here, here the growth of the plumule form what? Shoot. It forms shoot in a plant, and this one growth in radical form what? Root, my dear. Getting? So here if I'm saying here that the growth in a plumule, it means that the growth of the shoot. But when I'm saying here that the growth of the radical, then it forms what? Roots, my dear. So if anybody can ask you what is plumule and what is radical, my dear, let's see here in this way. In this here, if I'm saying here that the radical that develop what? See here, root. This one thing is written here, yes, root, and the plumule develop into the shoot, my dear. Okay. Now the thing is that is very important here, phases of plant growth. How many phases of plant growth, my dear? Three. One is what? Meristematic. One is meristematic. Second one is what? Elongation. And third one is what? Maturation. Getting my point? So if anybody can ask you that how many phases of the plant growth in a plants, my dear, then what you say? There are three mainly phases. One is the meristematic phase. Second one is elongation phase. Third one is what? Maturation phase. Is that clear? So now the time is here to understand that how this one thing is to be occurred. Let's see with the help of NCERT, my dear. Okay. So what the lag phase, what the exponential phase, what the stationary phase, we have to be discussed according to the NCERT, my dear. So let's check here with the help of what? NCERT. Okay. So I just make this point, keep it up here, and we just move. Okay. Let's see this one thing. Wait for a moment. Okay, let us start. So hope so this one is not. Wait for a moment, dear. Wait for a moment. Wait for a moment. Wait. Yes, this way. This way I have to be keep. Okay. So let's see. Here we discuss all these things. Okay. So plant growth and development. Okay. We should have to be start from here. Let's see here. See this one thing. So in this very diagram here is clear to all of that how the growth in the plant can take place. from germination and seedling and development in bean, my dear. Okay, so see with the help of diagram here. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. This one is the word seed. This one is what? Seed, my dear. And see, this one is the word where the region which is below the soil. This one is what? A radical. This one is hypocotyle region. I'm saying hypocotyle. Hypo means what? Below. Cotyle means what? Cotyledon. If I'm saying here that the region which is under the soil known as what? Hypocotyle, and the region which above the soil known as what? Epicotyle. Now here you see this one, the soil line. This one is what? Soil line. Okay. Now see, here the cotyledon, this one is what? The cotyledon. Cotyledon is nothing, this is stored food. If anybody can ask you about the cotyledon, then you say that what? Store food, my dear. This one is what I'm saying, writing here, store food. So here the food is stored where? In a cotyledon. Okay. So now the question is here, how the growth can take place here. Here the terms, that is epicotyle and hypocotyle, my dear. So epicotyle, that is also epicotyle hook. This epicotyle grow upward and upward with the help of the hormone, my dear, with the help of the photoperiodism also. So whenever this cotyledon move above the soil, then it is known as what? Epicotyle. But whenever the cotyledon remain inside the soil, then it is known as what? Hypocotyle. Getting my point? So if the cotyledon is what? Above the soil, then it is known as epicotyle, and if the cotyledon is below the soil, then it is known as what? Hypocotyle. Now the thing is here that how the growth here that given in NCERT. So here see, my dear, if I'm saying here about the term growth is here, then what we say? Then what we say here? Here I'm saying that the growth is regarded as one of the most fundamental and conspicuous characteristics, my dear, of living beings. So see, if I'm saying here that the growth is what? Growth is what? Regarded as one of the most fundamental and conspicuous characteristics. So see, if I'm saying here that the growth is what? A very fundamental and conspicuous characteristics of living, it means that each and every living organisms having what? Growth. So the growth can be defined as an irreversible permanent increase in size of an organ or its parts or even of an individual cell. So if anybody can ask you about the term growth, then you can also define in this way also. Growth can be defined as an irreversible permanent increase, because we all know that once the growth, or you say the increase in any part of the plant, then it cannot be reversed back. Am I right? Yes. So this one is what? Irreversible permanent increase in their size and of an organ or its parts of the event, my dear. Now generally here the growth is what? Accompanied by metabolic process. What I'm saying, growth is which type of process? Metabolic process. Why I'm saying here the metabolic process? Here the both anabolic and catabolic process occur here. If I'm saying here that the both catabolic and anabolic process is here, my dear, that is the expansion of the leaf is a growth. Yes or no? So this one is the thing. Now see, plant growth generally is what? Indeterminate. So see what I'm saying here, that if I'm saying here that the plant growth is generally indeterminate. Indeterminate means what? Plant growth is unique. You know why I'm saying the plant growth is unique? Because the plants retain the capacity for unlimited growth throughout their life. So if anyone, that is the thing that is grow continuously unlimited, then it is known as what? Indeterminate. Okay. So this ability of the plants is due to the presence of what? Meristems. What the presence? Meristems. And this meristems of certain location in the body. And you all know that this meristem is located where? At the apical region of the stem as well as the apical region of the roots also, my dear. Getting my point? Wait a moment. Let's check here. Let's check here. So to divide and self perpetuate, my dear. So see what I'm saying here, that if the cells have the capacity to divide, then it is known as what? Meristematic. But now the question is here, my dear, if the cells soon loses their capacity to divide, Such cell make their a plant body, my dear. Okay, so this growth where in new cells are always being added to the plant body activity of the milestone is called what? Open form of growth. Here see, here the two forms of the growth, that is one is what? Open form of growth, second one is what? Closed form of the growth, my dear. Okay, so in this very chapter here we have to study the what? Study of root apical meristem and the shoot apical meristem. So we should have all responsible for the primary growth of the plant as well as the what? Secondary growth also. Here the basically the primary growth. See here, this one is shoot apical meristem, this one is vascular cambium, this one is the vascular cambium, and this one is root apical meristem. Here what we see here, the primary growth of the plant are principally contribute to the elongation of the plant along with their axis, my dear. So if I'm saying here that the elongation of the plant along with their axis is, then it is known as what? Primary growth. And you all know that in a dicotyledonous, the plants and gymnosperms, the lateral meristems, vascular cambium, core cambium appear later in life, my dear. So this one is very important to understand here that whatever the meristems that cause the increase in the girth of organ. What I'm saying? Increase in the girth. If I'm saying the increase in the girth, it means that they increase in their diameter also. Because whenever we just make a baby plant, there the growth, that is the girth of the stem, that is so thin, but as the time passes the girth of the stem goes increases the, yes. So which one is there important for the increase in the growth of lateral meristem, my dear? Yes, you're right, lateral meristem is responsible. So this is known as what? Secondary growth of the plant. So secondary growth of the plant is what? Mainly that growth which is responsible for the laterally meristems. Now, the question is here, growth is what? Measurable. Is this one is right? Growth is measurable. Yes, growth can be measurable. So, how we measure the growth? This one is the now question is here. So, let's see here. So, if I'm saying here that the growth is at what cellular level is principally a consequence of increase in the amount of what? Protoplasm. You know, my dear, the term protoplasm. Here, I'm just going to write the term protoplasm also. Let's see here in this way. And this blank slide, I'm going to write here the term protoplasm first, because this one is very important to know here. Let's see. Number one, that is what? Protoplasm. What I'm writing here, the term protoplasm, my dear. So how I'm saying this one? Protoplasm. Let's see. The living constituent part of cell. What I'm saying here, living constituent part of what I'm saying, cell. So if I'm saying here that the living constituent part of cell is known as what? Protoplasm. So in another way, we also see here that protoplasm equal to what? Cytoplasm. Cytoplasm along with the what I'm saying here, nucleus. Along with the what I'm saying here, what? Nucleus. So if the cytoplasm along with the nucleus here, then it is termed as what? Protoplasm. This one is the thing. Now let's see in NCERT what I'm saying to you. In NCERT, dear, what the thing is here? What the thing is here written? Let's see. Here in wait for a moment. Okay, let's see. Here the growth is what? Measurable. What I'm saying, growth is what? Measurable. So growth is, if I'm saying the measurable, then the cellular level is what? Principally consequence to increase in the amount of protoplasm. Since increase in protoplasm is difficult to measure directly, so is it possible? Is it easy to measure the protoplasm? No, my dear, it is not easy to measure the protoplasm directly. So one generally measures some quantity which is more or less proportional to it. Okay. So let's see, growth is therefore measured by a variety of parameters, and some of them what? Increase in fresh weight, or you say the dry weight. So the length, area, volume, cell number. So it find amazing to know one single maze, a root apical meristem can give rise to the more than 17,500 new cells per hour, whereas cells in the watermelon may increase in the size up to what? 3,50,000 times, my dear. So this one is line of NCERT, which is very, very important to know here, that how the increase in face water, dry weight, length, area, volume, cell number, These all things will be have to be studied, but this one is the growth in the form of their what measurable, that we can measure that very growth. Okay, now in the forward the growth is expressed and increased in the cell number also. So if the amount of the cell number goes increases, then also here the growth in their cells. So later the express of growth has increased in the size of the cell also, while the growth of the pollen tube also here the measured in terms of its length. An increase in the surface area denotes the growth or in what dorsoventral leaves. So if here I'm saying that the leaf is here, suppose this one is the dorsoventral leaves, this one is also the growth in a plant's media. Now the thing is here very important to know here that the what the phases of growth, my dear. Let's see here the whenever I'm saying here that the phases of growth, here the basically the period of the growth is divided into three phases, my dear. Number one, that is what meristematic, second one is elongation, and third one is what maturation. So in this way the cell what grow. See here with the help of the figure also, the detection of the zone of the elongation of the parallel line technique, zone A, B, C, D, immediately behind the apex have a elongated most. So here A, B, C, what I'm saying here that A, B, C, that a very dividing cells, and then after what elongation cells, then after what maturation cell. So in this very level here the cell not mature, not be multiplied. The cell can multiply in this very stage or in this very phases also. Okay. Now the time to move ahead, here the meristematic zones represents the what elongation, here also increase in the vacuolation, cell enlargement and new cells. So these all are three are very important to understand, that if I want to increase in the what vacuolation, cell enlargement or new cells, then you have to be what understand this basic thing. Now the question is here what the characteristics of the cells in this very phases, my dear. Okay, so here the further away from the apex, that is more proximal to the phase of elongation, lies in proportion of axis which is undergo of phases of maturation. So here the phases of maturation can be divided into two ways. One, that is the growth rate is here. The cell zone of this attain maximal size in the terms of their wall thickening, protoplasm modification. Most of the things that is goes continuously to be divided here. So we have to be studied in chapter 6 already, have we discussed there. But here the growth in the two forms, one is the arithmetic, second one is what geometric. So if I'm saying here that which one is arithmetic, which one is what geometric, so let's see here. And other one is arithmetic also. Let's see here. If I'm saying here the arithmetic, here it means that here in the two way that the number of the organisms be grouped in arithmetic, while in the geometric they are grow in the four conditions. While in arithmetic phases, here the first top one is what zygote divided, then after geometric phase of all cells will divide, my dear. Okay, this point is clear. Now the thing is that is very important to understand here that what, so how about the growth and how the growth will be take place. Okay, this one is very important, or you say to a very important to understand here also. Let's see. If I'm saying here that the growth rate shows as increase, that may be arithmetic or you say the geometrical. So see here, this one is the constant linear growth, a plot of that is what length, one is the length, another one is what time. So here the height of the plant, that is in length, here the time. Okay, so if I'm saying here that on plotting the length or gain against time, its linear curve is obtained. Which type of curve? Linear curve. So L T is equal to L naught plus RT. L T is equal to length at time, L naught equal to length at time 0, and R is equal to growth rate and elongation per unit time. So this one is the thing that is given in your book. But now the question is here that how we understand this one thing. Okay, so see, if I'm saying here that the basically in initial growth, that a growth is what a very slow, that phase is called lag phase. See here, this one is what lag phase, okay, and increase rapidly thereafter at exponential rate, that phase is called log phase. See here, this one is the exponential phase you say, or you say the log phase also. And after that here the both is the what what progeny cells following what mitotic divisions retain in the ability to divide and continue to so. Okay, so this one is phase is known as what, a stationary phase, my dear. So see, if I'm saying here that this one is the stationary phase, it means what, the phases which have the position to be stay. Now the question is here, if I'm saying here the progeny cells, it means that the cells which is divided from the parent cell, then the division is what, mitotic division, mitotic cell division, my dear. So in a mitotic cell division, what we understand here? Here we understand that the growth slows down the leading of a stationary phase. The growth is what? Slow down the leading of a stationary phase. How we plot? If we plot the parameter of the growth against the time, my dear, we get a typical sigmoid or S curve. Okay. So here the question is here that a sigmoid curve is a what characteristic, that is a natural movement, is a typical or a cell's tissues, my dear, and the organ also. So see here, the exponential growth can be expressed in the form of this one phases. Okay, this one is the phases, my dear. This one is the final phase. If we have to find the what, W not first, the final size, weight, height, number, and then after initial size belonging to the period, R for growth rate, small t for time of growth, and E small letter base of natural logarithms. Getting? So these all are very important. Now the thing is here that how this one is take place. Let's see here with the help of the diagram also. Let's see first in the leaves the growth is very less. Okay, approximately the 5 centimeter is here, and after that what, the 10 centimeter. How this one is possible? It can only possible with the help of the hormone also, and as well as the what, comparisons between the absolute and the relative growth rates, my dear. So this one is the absolute, and this one is what, relative growth. Okay, now the question is here, what the quantitative comparison between the growth of living system can be made in two ways. One is the what, measurement, and the second one is what, comparison, my dear. So if I'm saying here that the measurement and the what, comparison of the total growth per unit time, then it is known as what, absolute growth rate. What I'm saying, absolute growth rate. So if anybody can ask you, when we say the absolute growth rate, you see here that absolute growth rate is that very growth which is measurement and the comparison of the total growth per unit time. Okay. Second one thing, that is the growth of the given system per unit time expressed on a common basis. What I'm saying, common basis, and that very common basis is what, per unit initial parameter. Per unit initial parameter, and that very per unit initial parameter is called what, relative growth rate, my dear. So see here in the two leaves also A and B drawn that are different sizes but show absolute increase in area in the given time to give what, leaves A, and this one is what, B. Now here the condition of the growth. What the condition? Just here I told in mind map also. Here the basic conditions which are responsible for the growth in the plants, my dear. Let's see one by one that what the condition for the growth in plants. Number one, here the things, that is what, water, mark it down here. Oxygen, you can also, yes, I'm saying to you, you can also take a highlighter or a pencil, just go through that NCERT, and you have to be mentioned here that the condition for the growth in a plant's, my dear, right? See, this one is what the list. They had water, oxygen, nutrients. These all are very essential elements for the growth, my dear. Okay, getting my point? So now I'm saying here that the plant cell grow. How the plant cell grow, my dear? In size by cell enlargement, which turns requires which one? Water. If I'm saying here the turgidity of cell, this one is also a growth, and this growth known as what? Extension growth. And now here the further development is intimately linked with the water also, water status also of the plant. So water also provides what? The medium for enzymatic activities. You know that there are various types of enzymatic activities within the plant cell, my dear. Am I right or not? Yes, sir, definitely you are right. So if I'm saying here that whatever the enzymatical activities which occur within the plant's body cells, but the question is here, how it be possible, sir? It can only be possible with the help of water, my dear, right? Now, the thing is here that oxygen also help in releasing the metabolic energy essentially. Yes, this one is also very important for the growth activities. For what I'm saying, growth activities. So the nutrients, that is macronutrients and micronutrients, these all are the essential elements These all are what very essential elements that is essential for what I'm saying, for the growth I'm saying, and required by the plants for synthesis of protoplasm and act as a source of what energy. So if I'm saying here that the plants need energy, how they take all these very things to be in the growth as well as for the photosynthesis also. We all know that in addition to every the plant organisms has an optimum temperature range is required, and that optimum temperature, it means that that very suitable temperature that is essential for photosynthesis in plants. Here the suited for its growth. Now here any deviation from the range could be determined. Yes, definitely. So environmental signal is here. What the environmental signal, my dear? Here the environmental signal is what? Light and gravity. I'm saying. What I'm saying? Light and gravity. So here also affect the certain phases, and that phases is known as what? Stages of growth, my dear. Now when we move through the differentiation, the three terms is here, there is what? Differentiation, de-differentiation and re-differentiation. Now see here in the NCERT also. So what the thing is given? Here the thing is given here that what is differentiation first term is here. Wait a moment, can I drink some water? Yes, now see. Here the term, here the three terms is there. One is differentiation, second one is de-differentiation, and third one is what? Re-differentiation. Let's see. Wait a moment. Let's see. Here, if I'm saying that the cell derived from the root apical, you know that the apex, or you just say apex, that is what? Root apical, shoot apical, these all are the apical meristem, and the cambium differentiate and mature to perform a specific function medium. So here I'm saying that whenever the cell derived from the root apical and the root and the shoot apical meristem, then there here I'm saying that the cambium differentiated and the mature to perform their specific function media. So this leading to the maturation, is termed as what? Differentiation media. What I'm saying? Differentiation. So during the differentiation, we all know that the cell undergo few to major structural changes. You know what the few major changes basically in the structure? Yes, in their cells wall, in the cell wall, and what? Protoplasm. Listen carefully that what I'm saying. If here I'm saying that whenever the differentiation will occur take place, then it undergo a structural changes. In structural changes, what the structural changes take place, my dear? You know, two way. One is there is what? In their cell wall, and second one is what? Their protoplasm. Take one some example. If I'm saying here that the tertiary elements, and you also in tissue chapter, that is histology, there is in plant tissue, my dear, there is tertiary cells. Yes, definitely. That very tertiary cells, or you say the tertiary elements, which is responsible for the growth in a plants, that the cells lose their what? Protoplasm. So once the tertiary elements will what? Divide, then it lose their capability to divide, my dear. Yes or no? Yes. They also develop a very strong, elastic, and what? Lignocellulosic secondary cell wall. See what I'm saying here? Here I'm saying that the cells which have a strong, elastic, lignocellulosic secondary cell wall. Lignocellulosic means what? Lignocellulosic means that the plant cell which has containing some amount of protoplasm in there, and they are made up of what? Cellulose, or you say the fiber. So what the thing is to be carried, sir? To a long distance, because the plant need energy to the apical region. Yes, definitely. So there is some vascular tissue also. Yes, vascular tissue also, so that the water carry to a long distance, even under extreme tension also. Let's see here the some encounters in the plant's function they perform. You know that the plants show another interesting phenomena. You know another interesting phenomena? Don't know? Let's see. Here the plants have the lost their capacity to divide. So if the plants have what? Lost the capacity to divide matter, then we say that this phenomenon is termed as de-differentiation. What I'm saying? De-differentiation. Suppose I'm giving you one example here, that how we say the de-differentiation. Suppose here I am saying that the formation of meristems. What I'm saying? Formation of meristems. So whenever I'm saying here the terms formation of the meristems, they are first the word interfascicular cambium and the core cambium fully differentiated. Listen carefully what I'm saying. The first here I'm saying that the intrafascicular cambium and the core cambiums are fully differentiated. And this fully differentiated by whom? This parenchyma cells, my dear. So while doing so, such a meristems tissue which are able to divide and produce cells that once again lose their capacity to divide but mature to perform a specific function, my dear. So if I'm saying here that mature to perform a specific function, then it is said that get redifferentiated. What I'm saying? Redifferentiated. So here the term redifferentiated, it means that they have the capability to divide continuously, and once they have the lose their capacity to divide, my dear, that is called what? Redifferentiated. Here the some of the tissues would just take an example of dicotyledonous plant, my dear. Here the products of what? Redifferentiation. Yes, definitely. So here the redifferentiation how will take place, then this one is important to know here. See here, suppose if I'm telling you about the things that is what growth in what plants, my dear. Suppose in open, or you say it can indeterminate, or you say the determinate. Now we say that even differentiation in plant is open because cells tissues arising out of the same meristem. And if I'm saying here that the final structures of maturity of the cells tissue is also determined by the location of the cell within. So whatever the cell within their body structure, this one is very important, my dear. For example, cell position away from root apical, meristems differentiate a root capsules, while any periphery matures the epidermis also. Yes or no? So there are various things that is important to be development in a plant's, my dear. Okay. Now the thing is that is very important to understand here that what development, how the development will take place here. This one is important to understand. Let's see. Let's see development, and you know that the development is termed as that includes all changes that an organism goes through during the life cycle from germination of the seed to senescence. You know the meaning of senescence? Senescence, it means that whenever the plant grow older, it what? It fall their leaves, fruits, and all other parts. So see, here the development, the term is very important, my dear. What I'm saying, very important. So what the development, how we understand here the term development, my dear. Here the term development, it means that the changes, where the changes that an organism goes through when during the life cycle, from where? From germination of the seed to senescence. Now the question is here, if I'm saying here the diagrammatic representation of the sequence of process of which they constitute the development of cell of a higher plants, let's see, this one is the thing that is very important here. Here in meristematic cell, the cell division will take place, the plasmatic growth here. Again the cell what differentiated, cell will what die. And after that, when I'm saying that senescence, the mature cells, here the expansion elongation will take place, maturation will take place, and mature cells goes what? Senescence, my dear. So in this way, the division of the cell will take place. See, one of the example is here that plants follow different pathway in response to environment also, or phases of life to form different kinds of structure. Let's see. Here I'm saying here that this ability is called plasticity, my dear. What I'm saying here? Plasticity. If plasticity, it means that is they as what? Heterophily in cotton. What I'm saying? Heterophily. So if I'm saying here that the heterophily in cotton, another example is what? Coriander. Another example is what? A larkspur. These all are the ability of plasticity, my dear. What I'm saying? Plasticity. Plasticity means that the plants which follow different pathway in response to environmental or phases of life forms, my dear. Okay. In such a plants, the leaves of the juvenile plants are different in shape, size, and those in mature plants, my dear. Okay. So now, on the other hand, whenever I'm discuss here that in the shapes of the leaves produce what? Produced in air, and those produced in water in a buttercap is also represent in the heterophilous. It means that development due to the environment. And you all know that whatever the development in the plants will take place according to the change in environment, my dear. Getting? Getting? Now, this one is very important to understand here, that the plant growth regulator, that is called PGR also. That is also called what? PGR. Wait for a moment. Yes, see, PGR. So you know that the plant growth regulator, that is PGR, is, that is what? Plant growth regulator, that is what PGR is, are small and simple molecules. What I'm saying, simple molecules. And this plant growth PGRs, whenever I'm saying the simple molecules of diverse chemical composition. And you know what the chemical composition is here? Yes, they are what? Indole compounds, indole 3 acetic acid, IAA, adenine derivatives, N6, furfury, lamino, purine, kenatine. These all derivatives of carbo, of what? Carotenoids, abacic acid, or use ABA. This one terpentine, gibberellic acid, ethylene. Plant growth regulator are various described as a plant growth substances, plant hormones, phytohormones, and in what different features. Here, the thing that is very important to understand here, that the PGRs are broadly divided into two groups. Plant growth regulator is divided into how many groups? Wait for a moment. Here the PGRs can be divided into two groups, my dear, based on their function. You know what? One group is PGRs involved in the growth promoting activities, and growth promoter activities such as what? Cell division, cell enlargement, pattern for the formation, tropic growth. Yes, tropic growth, it means what? The growth in a higher plants in the apical region of the stem. Second one is what? Growth in the what? Flowering, fruiting, and seed formation. Okay, so these are called the plant growth promoter. And you know that basically there are 5 phytohormones: auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin, abacic acid, and ethylene. Okay, so all these very 5, only 3 are what? Growth promoter, and rest 2 are what? Growth inhibitor hormone. So if I'm saying here that the growth promoter hormone, it means what? The growth promoter hormone, it means that a hormone which is responsible for the growth in a plant's media. So let's see here which one is the growth promoter hormone. Here the written, that is example auxin, gibberellin, and cytokinin. Just to here we see. Now the PGRs, the other group, play an important role in the plants, also involved in the various growth inhibiting activities also. Growth inhibiting activities means that such as dormancy and abscission. So the PGR abacic acid belongs to this group. So here the PGR, that is a plant growth regulator hormone. Here the two, one is the growth promoting hormone, second one is what? Growth inhibiting hormone. So when we say the growth promoting hormone, when we say the growth inhibiting hormone, when the plant become mature, then there is what? Said to be what? Growth inhibiting hormone. And when the plant is in what? In the form of the growth, then there is what? A growth promoting hormone, my dear. So now see, if I'm saying here that the gaseous, that is PGR, ethylene, could fit either for the growth, but the largely inhibitor of the growth activities, mainly the ethylene and abacic acid. These two hormones are what? Growth inhibitor hormone. Correct? Now, the thing that is very important to understand here, that the discovery of the plant growth regulator. You know that one of the scientists, my dear, and that very name of the scientist is known as F.W. Wendt. Hope so you know this one name, F.W. Wendt. And you know that he discovered the auxin, which is isolated by F.W. Wendt from the tips of coleopetals of oat seedling. This one is very important here, very important. That what I'm saying here. See, listen carefully. That what I'm saying here. Here I'm saying that basically the 5 major groups of PGRs, that is plant growth regulator hormones, have been accidental. So all this started within the observation of the Charles Darwin, and other one is son Francis Darwin, when they observed that the coleopetal of a canary grass, which one grass? Here the canary grass. This canary grass respond to unilateral or illumination by the growing towards the light source, that is called phototropism, my dear. So this one is the canary grass. Whenever the sunlight falls over there, the bending of that very apical meristem, the bending towards the light. Here the scientist states that yes, this one is the thing that the movement in a plants take place. Yes or no? The plant can also move. So if I'm saying here the plants can move, that how the plants can move, this one is the thing. This was observed by the scientist. The name of the scientist is Charles Darwin, as well as his son Francis Darwin, my dear. Okay, and this oxygen was isolated by the scientist. The name of the scientist is F.W. Wendt, my dear. Okay, now the things what we should have to be understand. Let's see here. Here the back end, that is what full is settling. But I'm saying back end. Back end means what? Full is settling here. I'm saying full is settling here. Disease causing rice seedling. Okay. So was caused by a fungal pathogen. The name of that very fungal pathogen is what? Gibberellia fucuria and U. kurosawa. This is reported by the appearance of the symptom of the diseases, which is what? Uninfected rice seedling. Uninfected rice seedling when they were treated with the sterile filtrate of the fungus, my dear. Also, the thing is clear. So this one is the major active substances which later identified by the acid. The name of that very acid is what? Gibberellic acid, my dear. Okay. So here one the scientist, the name of the scientist is F.S. Cook, my dear, and along with his co-worker observed that the internodal segments of the tobacco, mainly in the tobacco plants, in the tobacco stems, that is in the callus, that you know the callus is nothing, it is a mass undifferentiated cell. So if I'm saying here a mass undifferentiated cell known as what? Callus, here the proliferated only if in addition to the oxygen nutrients medium, then it will what? Extract as a vascular tissue, and after that it remain in the growth. Coconut milk or DNA. Skoog and Miller later identified the crystallize of cytokinesis promoting the active substances termed as carnitine, my dear. Okay, so this one is the what? Plant growth regulator hormone, which is responsible for the growth in the plants, my dear. Okay, something is little bit we here we move through a detailed video in plant growth and development, my dear. Then I will tell you about this on all things. So hope so this all thing is clear. This all thing is clear what the plant growth and development, my dear. So thank you for watching me. Thank you. Have a nice day. Take care and bye bye. See you again. Thank you.